Hello all, hope you had a good Christmas. Owen here, press start to continue, and I'm going to start doing some top 10s of my favourite gaming subjects because, you know, why not? And considering it's the end of the year and we've had plenty of great games come out during 2016, why not have the first list be the top 10 games of 2016? Now this is my own personal list, not what games were the most popular, so if there are any games not on my list you think should have been there, then please let me know in the comments below. But before I start, here are a few honourable mentions who just missed the top 10. Also, I'm not including any reboots or ports of any games, which means despite it being one of my favourite games of the year, I will not be including Rise of the Tomb Raider on the PS4, because technically it already came out on the Xbox One last year. So, without further ado, here are my top 10 games of 2016. Number 10. Pokemon Go. The summer sensation that is Pokemon Go just about makes it to my top 10. This game was ridiculously popular when it first came out in July, and it took the world by storm. Despite its many issues when it first came out, from the frequent game crashes to the Pokemon radar not working correctly for a long time, Pokemon Go was still an enjoyable experience, trying to catch all the different Pokemon from the first generation. Many people have stopped playing now, but I'm still playing and I'm still trying to catch all the Pokemon that I can, which is about 143 by my count. The great thing that I found about Pokemon Go was that it got gamers going outside, going for walks, trying to catch a new Pokemon, as well as hatching the eggs as well. And it also got a lot of new people into games playing Pokemon Go as well. With the release of the new baby Pokemon that have just come out as well from Gen 2, and the rest of the Gen 2 Pokemon following suit soon, I'm sure Pokemon Go may have a resurgence coming up. All I know is that I've got to catch 'em all. Number 9. PlayStation VR. Okay, so I'm cheating a little bit here, and rather than putting a single game in, I'm putting the entire PlayStation VR experience. I've played the PSVR, HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, and I have to say that my personal favourite is the PlayStation VR, although I am a little bit biased because I do love the PlayStation 4. The headset's comfortable, the graphics look really good, for all the different games that I've tried. The particular favourites of mine, PlayStation Worlds, is a really easy game just to try out the PSVR. It has 5 different games on there, each one of varying degrees of interaction. You've got a first-person shooter, which uses a controller and the headset together. You've got a luge game, which just uses the headset to control the game. And then you've got an underwater sea simulation, which you just look around undersea. My favourite games so far, though, using the PSVR, have to be the horror-based games. Until Dawn Rush of Blood was really good, and I have to say one of the best on-the-rail shooters I've ever played. And it really shows what these sort of games could do with the PlayStation VR, and hopefully could see them have a return to the home consoles. Really hoping Time Crisis is one of them ones that might come back. A lot of one that had loads of really good jump scares on there was Resident Evil 7, which is by far my favourite experience on the PlayStation VR so far. The kitchen demo scared the crap out of me and was really nerve-wracking, and then playing the full beginning hour demo as well on the VR, it still had me scared despite the fact that I'd already played it twice through without the VR. I was still afraid a lot of the time during that game, and I really can't wait for the full game to come out in January for Resident Evil 7, as I think this is going to be the first proper big title coming out on the PlayStation VR. Number 8. Overwatch. I've never been much for online shooters, finding them getting very boring very quickly. So when Overwatch came out, which was just another online shooter with no offline story mode, I was just not really that interested. But then I played it and I really enjoyed it. While not my favourite FPS of the year, mini spoiler, the ease of getting into this game was refreshing to me, who isn't that good at multiplayer shooters. And with such a huge range of colourful characters to choose from, all with their own different abilities and powers, I picked this up very easily and I did pretty well too. The best thing about this game though is how varied each character is. So if you want to play Sniper, you can go for Hunter or Widowmaker. If you want to play Healer, you've got Zenyatta or Mercy. If you want a close combatant, there's Reinhardt, and there's so many others to choose from. My personal favourites being D.Va and Tracer. But each character has got so much variety that pretty much anyone with any different styles of play can jump straight in and have a good time. There's also a really good competitive mode as well for players who are more serious and who are better at the game, which is not me, so they can also enjoy this game. The world itself is also very colourful, as well as the people, and it's got a lot of sort of great backstory you can delve into as well. I highly recommend this game as well for anyone who loves their multiplayer shooters, whether they be casual gamers or serious players. Number 7. Dishonored 2. Corvo Attano is back, and he has brought his daughter Emily Caldwell to play too. 10 years after the events of the original Dishonored, which is also an excellent game, someone called the Crown Killer is being used to kill Empress Emily's enemies, making it look like that she is behind it. A coup is then unleashed, bringing down Emily and Corvo and placing Emily's aunt as Empress. You must then use your otherworldly powers to defeat the new Empress's allies and finally defeat her as well and reclaim your crown. The chaos effect is brought back from previous Dishonored, meaning depending on how brutal you are throughout the game will play out differently, and it has different endings as well. There are also 2 characters to play as this time around, choosing Corvo from the original game as well as Emily, and both characters also have their own different abilities and also have different dialogue throughout the game. This gives the game a lot of replayability, as playing as Corvo and Emily are very different experiences. How you play the game as well still has a lot of choice, just like in the previous game. So if you want to have a more stealthy approach and sneak past everyone, you can do. If you'd rather use all your different abilities to incapacitate your enemies or even kill them, you can. Or you can just go on a massive killing spree and kill the entire world. It's completely up to you. But obviously if you do go on a big killing spree, don't expect to have a good ending, despite how fun this might be. Number 6. Dragonball Xenoverse 2. It's time to go Super Saiyan with the second installment of the Dragonball Xenoverse series. And although it doesn't add too much gameplay wise, there are a lot of new characters, new moves, and new transformations added as well. The story also continues on from the previous game, as Tora and Mira are trying to take over time to open a doorway into the demon realm. But this time they get help from various Dragon Ball villains from several of the different Dragon Ball Z movies, including Lord Slug and Toulouse. On top of the new story mode, there are brand new PQ missions which can be played co-op just like in the first Xenoverse game. Expand on the hub from the first Xenoverse, there is also now the huge city of Toki Toki City, which you can travel around in and even fly around as well, eventually anyway. In here there are all the main story missions, PQ missions, as well as various training missions, side missions, and you also get to train with characters like Frieza, Majin Buu and Vegeta. And there are also some new large encounter missions as well. You can team up with up to 5 other players to fight against very powerful enemies. Being a huge Dragon Ball Z fan myself, Xenoverse 2 was a great improvement which might not have added much gameplay, but it did add loads and loads of extra content. Number 5. Warhammer Total War. Okay, so first things first, I'm a huge nerd who loves Warhammer and has been playing it since I was about 10 years old. I love the odd Warhammer games as well, including Shadow the Horn Rat, Dark Omen, but since then there's not been a decent Warhammer game which really captures the essence of the tabletop version of Warhammer. Then Warhammer Total War was released, and it mixes together the feel of the Warhammer world along with the excellent gameplay of the Total War series. Although if I'll be honest, this is the first Total War game I've ever played, but I have heard that the old ones were really good. Warhammer Total War allows you to play several races, including the Empire, Dwarves, Vampire Counts, or the Greenskins, and has also since released 3 new races, the Chaos Warriors, the Beastmen, and the Wood Elves. Each race plays extremely differently, allowing different gameplay styles. So like the Dwarves, although very slow, have great ranged artillery. The Vampire Counts, although again they're quite slow as well, but they have a lot of fear-causing creatures. They're immune to psychology, and they've got a lot of flying units as well. Whereas the Empire have a bit of everything, a bit of cavalry, a bit of artillery, a bit of close combat. They're sort of the average team, the average race. There are also the campaigns for each army as well, which focuses on one of the mighty lords to control as your main general, which are all from the main Warhammer game. So you have High King Thorben Grudgebearer for the Dwarves, Emperor Karl Franz for the Empire, and Grimgor Ironhide for the Greenskins. And these are used as your main general as you try and complete different tasks and different missions, while also staving off the various hordes of chaos. There's a lot of content of this game, and there's new DLC seems to be coming out every few months. Now all I want is just a new Skaven army to be released, and then I'll be happy. Number 4. Titanfall 2. So here's my favourite multiplayer first person shooter of the year. Sorry Overwatch. As not only is the online mode really good on this game, but it's also got a very good single player campaign mode as well. which for the first Titanfall failed miserably at. The story follows Jack Cooper, who quickly becomes a pilot and has to control the Titan BT-7274, who is an awesome Titan, and he's one of the coolest robots in video games. And the buddy relationship between the two characters is what makes the story mode so good, as it's one of the better buddy teams that I've ever seen in the video game, and the only ones really that I can think of that are better are the relationship between Booker and Elizabeth in Bioshock Infinite, and the relationship between Joel and Ellie in The Last of Us. And as already mentioned, the multiplayer mode is very good too. It's got all the good bits from the first Titanfall, and it makes them even better. It's got new weapons, new Titans, and all of these extra things make the multiplayer mode extremely fun to play. And there's nothing more fun than building up enough kills to summon in your Titan, then continuing your rampage. Although the best thing that I find, and the thing that's most fun and rewarding, is trying to take out another Titan as a pilot, especially if you try to take one down while rodeoing it as well. That is just the icing on the cake. Number 3. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Of course a new Uncharted game is going to be on this list. Every time an Uncharted game comes out, it's one of the best games of the year, and Uncharted 4 is no exception. It is one of the best looking games I've ever played, but the main thing of Uncharted 4 is the excellent acting from the various characters in the game. Nathan Drake, as always, is the charismatic hero that everyone loves, but he's not the only good character, as there's also his brother Sam, longtime friend Sully, and his wife Eleanor, who are all just as charming. The camaraderie between the characters throughout the game is very realistic, which just gets you more and more invested with their well-being. The story, as always, is great too, with Nathan and co trying to locate the pirate city of Libertalia, and finding the treasure of the infamous pirate Captain Henry Avery. This brings our heroes to several different locations, including the Scottish Highlands, Panama, and Madagascar. But on top of the amazing single-player mode, Uncharted 4 also has a very fun multiplayer mode. Although not as good as other games in this list like Titanfall 2 and Overwatch, Uncharted 4's multiplayer is still a very fun experience, and it is a really great addition to the rest of the game. Number 2. The Last Guardian. I still can't believe this game is even real, despite the fact that I've already played it. It's taken nearly 10 years to get this game released, and it's made by the same guys that brought us Ico and the Shadow of the Colossus, so you know that there's some very big shoes to fill, but I believe that them shoes were filled easily. Although there are some gameplay issues, mainly controlling the young boy, he can sometimes be a bit annoying to control, and also Trico doesn't always appear to follow your commands. This game is still amazing, and if anything, it is Trico that makes this game as good as it is. While at first the story is a bit basic, as you don't really know what's going on until quite further on into the game, it's the relationship between the boy and Trico which makes this game so good. You can really tell that most of the work has gone into making Trico as realistic as possible, as he oftentimes acts just like a real animal. So sometimes you might just see him jumping and running around in a large area, or rolling around and just splashing around in some water, or even he's just trying to stick his head through a small gap in the wall when he's trying to reach you. He is absolutely adorable and again acts just like a real animal might. He is the true hero of The Last Guardian, and now all I really wish is that I could have a pet Trico for myself. Number 1. Final Fantasy 15. Another game which I didn't think would ever be released after 10 years of development, and originally being called Final Fantasy 13 Versus. Final Fantasy 15 had a lot to live up to, and then it does this and then some. Final Fantasy 15 is a beautiful game and is definitely the best looking game I've ever seen. But it's a Japanese boy band of Noctis, Gladiolus, Prompto and Ignis that makes this game so good, as the interactions with each other are extremely realistic and they're just like a group of friends who hang out with each other all the time. Also, the world is massive and is fully explorable, unlike Final Fantasy 13. There is loads to do, including various side missions, hunting missions, fishing, or you can even just go around getting awesome pictures and selfies of yourself at local areas. There's also a lot of nostalgia for old Final Fantasy fans as well, with both chocobos and moggles in the game, and there's also small references to old Final Fantasy games. A particular favourite of mine is after you defeat an enemy, sometimes the character Prompto will start humming the winning music from the previous Final Fantasy games. You know the one. Although the combat here is a huge departure from previous Final Fantasy games, and it plays more like the Kingdom Hearts series, it still works really well, and it still feels like a Final Fantasy games. I urge anyone who is a fan of the Final Fantasy series, RPGs, or even just action-adventure games to pick this up, as you will not be disappointed. So there you have it, there's my top 10 games of 2016. As you see, there are some games like Dark Souls 3 and Battlefield 1 that are not on the list, but that's because I haven't played them yet, so sue me. But please let me know if there's any of these games or any other games which you think should be on the list, and let me know what you would change in the comments below. Then once you've done that, why don't you subscribe to the channel, like the video and also share the video. This has been Owen at Press Starts Continue, and I'll see you in the next video.